my shop, Rob from Woodley Summercraft here. I haven't been doing too much turning lately, but finally got to do some today. So today we're going to be making this 13-inch quilted maple bowl, and also I'm going to be using new Canadian Hampshire Sheen sea wax, so stick around. It is 13 inches, which is going to fit because this is a 14-inch swing. It's a 13-inch piece of curly maple. Now I'm going to use Keith Barrow's center finder, which does a bloody good job of finding the center of the piece of wood you've got. It's not perfectly round, so you have to kind of decide. It'll get you close anyway. So yeah, there's my center. So I'm going to drill a hole in that and get it mounted on this wormwood screw. And we're just going to go in a short way. We don't have to go in very far. Just make sure it's deep enough. Again, a little bit of Hampshire Sheen on the threads. Just a little bit of wax on there, so it goes in nicely and then it comes back off again afterwards. I've started sanding this, but this area here is a little bit punky, so I can actually feel a variance in the surface because of the punkiness. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to put some sealer on this, which will harden up the wood a little bit, and then we'll go back to it. Okay, so I've stiffened up the wood here a little bit by putting some Danish oil into it. The Danish oil that I've got has varnish in it, so it will harden up the wood a little bit. So I'm going to just sand this more lightly down to 320 grit, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so this bowl has now been sanded on the outside to 320 grit. Tried to remove any tool marks or any sanding marks to make it as smooth as possible. The end grain is right here, so I had a little bit of a trouble spot here, and this being slightly punky, it's not too bad now because I hardened the wood a little bit with the varnish that is in Danish oil. So I just applied some Danish oil, and that varnish that's in it kind of hardened that wood a little bit. And it's actually quite nice and smooth now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean this completely with alcohol, put some sanding sealer on it, and then we'll get it finished on the outside and we'll get it turned around. Now today I made my first batch of New Hampshire Sheen sea wax. It's just in a plastic pot because this is just a tester, but it's the consistency of Yorkshire grit, and I think it's going to be very nice, very easy to apply, and hopefully we'll get some good results with this. This will remove all the residue, the dust, the dirt that's in the wood. It's a very tight grain wood, maple, so there's no real open pores. You can see the dirt that's coming out of the wood. You don't want that in your finish. And just like I've done many times before, I'm going to put about 3 coats of this sanding sealer. This is from my buddy Steve Twidell in Templeboy in Ireland, near County Sligo. He gave me this a while ago, a few years ago when I visited him, and I'm still using it. So this is a shellac and alcohol based sanding sealer, which is what you want. You don't really want a water based sanding sealer. Okay, so I've now got the sanding sealer applied and it's dried, and I've denibbed it with a scouring pad. So I don't want any shiny spots and I don't want any streaks in the finish before I put Yorkshire grit on, which I'm ready to do now. Alright, so once again I've got some funky things happening with this wood where it is a bit softer through here. So once again what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a quick wipe, and then I'm going to put some Danish oil in there, which has got that varnish, which is going to help hopefully stabilize that wood a little bit so that I can get it sanded so that it's smooth. Right now I've got a little bit of an indentation there, and I'm actually not too concerned about that, but I would rather it not be there. So I'm going to have to just apply this by hand. I'm going to have to do it all over so that it's even all over the whole front of the bowl. I didn't really want to have to do this, but there it is. You have to do it. You can see it's got some beautiful figure in it. It's going to be hopefully really nice when it's done. Okay, so I'm going to just let that soak in and dry, and it will harden up the wood grains, the wood fibers somewhat. Okay, so this is as smooth and as tool mark free as I could possibly get it, I believe. Very smooth piece of wood right now. I actually sanded it to 600. I don't normally go that far. I usually sand to 320 and use sanding sealer and Yorkshire grit. But on this particular one, I'm giving it a slightly different treatment with New Hampshire Sheen Sea Wax, and I didn't want to seal it prior to application. I'm not sure how well this wood is going to take to sea wax because it's really intended for a porous wood like oak and ash. But I still think it's going to colour the wood, and it hopefully will give it some character that will be different to the underside of the bowl, which is just the plain wood. Okay, there really isn't much left in there. I think that's pretty good. Let's raise the grain just a little bit. Just take a piece of scouring pad just to kind of keep it smooth. Okay, so that is beautifully smooth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up the lathe bed, and I'm going to put some gloves on because this stuff is black. Okay, so this is the trial pot I made. It's just in a plastic tub because I just wanted to get used to making it before I started putting it in the tins, and I now have some in the tins, and I should have some sometime next week. So I've just got a little bit on the cloth, and I'm going to start in the middle, I guess, and we're just going to apply it, see how it goes. Goes on beautifully. It's a nice creamy texture, and I want to get this fully coated, get it deep into those pores. I know that this is a very tight grained wood, so it might not take it as well as oak or ash, but I still think it's going to be pretty cool. Now, if you've got any tool marks at all, or any sanding marks at all, it's going to show that up. As soon as you clean this off, you're going to see those marks, and you're going to have to start again, I think. So I'm really hoping that I don't have any sanding marks or tool marks. I don't think I do, but I guess we'll find out. Okay. That's definitely darkened the wood quite a lot. We'll see what happens when we get the residue off now. Alright, so I'm going to put a couple of coats of Hampshire Sheen High Gloss now on the bowl. I will probably put 2 or 3 coats on, as I didn't put sealer on this. I really want to try try and get that nice, and I want to get that luster to shine through with the darkness in some of the grain, which is, I think, is going to be quite effective. Okay, so what I have now is Hampshire Sheen's microcrystalline wax, which will give it that fingerprint proof finish and some added gloss. Again, very easy to apply. This is very soft. Just going to apply that all over. And then buff that to the shine. You can let that sit and it will dry, or you can go straight to buffing. I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes and then I will buff it. Okay, so what I'm left with is a very subtle darkness in the grain of this maple. If you were to apply sea wax to oak or ash or a deep grained wood, it would really enter the grain a lot more than it does on maple, but it really has highlighted this and it's made it look quite spectacular. The figure in this wood is lovely, and when you compare the top side to the bottom side, it's almost like tiger stripes going through it with the darkness that's now in the grain. So I'm going to get this off the lathe and get it over to the pyro machine and put my name, date and the wood species on the back side, and then we'll be finished. And thanks for watching. This is the 13-inch quilted maple bowl with new Canadian Hampshire Sheen sea wax on it. I cannot wait to use this stuff on some oak or some ash, which is more what it's intended for, an open grained wood. It's going to be really cool. And that combined with tie wax and some texturing, it's going to be a lot of fun to be had in the future with these products. So there it is. I will leave some pictures at the end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And tomorrow, my next video, I'm going to be announcing the winners of my 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. I really do appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.